and welcome to round 2 of the Parenting Roundabout podcast. I'm Catherine Haleko, and I'm here with Terry Morrow. Say hi, Terry.
Hello.
Usually on this podcast, we talk about parenting issues, but once a week, Terry and I like to get together to discuss TV, movies, books, and other entertainment topics, because it's nice to talk about something other than parenting for a change. So this week, we continued our West Wing watch with the episode Requiem. And while we were away last week, the entire series of Making It basically came and went. We did talk about it on our last episode 2 weeks ago, but now it's over. And so we're going to talk about that first. What did you think of the super compressed season of Making It?
Yeah, it's, I wonder what happened. Whether it was always intended to be this fast, or whether they just gave it the bum's rush, or what. Because there was an episode that had Halloween costumes, which doesn't seem like you would plan it for December. And they specifically,
I noticed them saying things like, and this week, blah, blah, blah. They clearly weren't planning to air it on a daily basis.
And so you lost all sense of what the timing is for these contestants. Were they doing one of these a week, or were they, was it just like 2 weeks of doing everything? So it made it a little odd. I was listening to the Extra Hot Great podcast, had a little commentary on the Making It also. Yes, and they felt that there was too much Amy Poehler and Nick Offerman in it. And I really enjoy them. There was a great deal of them, and there was last year too, but I think I've been trying to figure out what was not right about this season to me, and I keep thinking that it's overproduced, that it was like they took everything they had and then sculpted them into these episodes that did not have the sort of the organic feeling of a competition, but just of here's a little Christmas show. And I think that that's why it seems like there was so much of them in it, because it was just so made. Yeah. It wasn't just something that happened. And, I've been thinking about it a lot, because I think that somebody somewhere along the line lost confidence that people would be interested in seeing makers make things. And so we got a lot of your dreams, follow your dreams. What do your dreams say? It had to be like this inspirational, motivational thing for everybody. I would just like to see talented people make things. I don't need it to be about me.
And the thing is that with every person, they tried to make them have some kind of, I was bullied, or, I don't get to do creative work in my job anymore. And then repeat that 6 times over the course of 6 episodes.
I don't think you need that. I think they do it on all the competitions, so okay. But I just really wish, if they're doing it another season, and they want my opinion, which they don't, obviously, but I think that they should let all of the makers stay the entire time. Yes, most competitions have this elimination, but there's no real need here. And it's really difficult because you're not really able to compare apples to apples.
Right.
On a baking show, you can say, everybody make this souffle. And some people's souffles are going to be light and puffy, and some people's souffles are going to be flat. And so it's very easy to say, you do not have the same skills as these other people. You can go home. But I think you could keep everybody on and see each person do each project in their own interesting way. I was really interested in that. You got a woodworker doing it one way. You got a balloon lady doing it another way. You got an interior designer doing it another way. You got somebody who makes stuff with food. I could watch that for as many weeks as they want to put it on TV without the elimination stuff. Give people the badges and have the badges determine the winner at the end, so that the badges are meaningful and not just something pretty to put on your apron. I really wish they would do it that way. I would watch it. I think it would be really interesting. It's just this feeling like we have to packaged. It was packaged. That's the word. It was very packaged. And I don't think it needed to be. Many of those people I would have liked to have seen more of. I was kind of ticked that the guys all got eliminated before the end, because I was real interested in a couple of them. So actually, really, all of the people were, in one degree or another, interesting. Blonde interior decorator lady with the big glasses was my least interesting one, but her stuff was really, really pretty. I enjoyed looking at it. It didn't seem as creative as the others, but it was still, she definitely is very talented. And so I would have been happy to see them all stick around. I was also amused the judges seemed much nicer this season. Did you find that also?
Yes.
However, their decisions were still as completely nonsensical as ever and had little to no relation to what they were saying when they were looking at each thing. Usually, if you could hear them say even the teensiest negative thing while that person's sleeping,
right,
you pretty much knew. Or, but I often had no idea why they picked what they picked.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So. Except for the last, when they sent Rebecca home, which was the interior designer you were just talking about. That one I figured out.
Yeah, that one. Because that was the only one they said anything negative about. And she didn't, also the big thing was if you didn't finish something, you were going home. Yeah. So once she didn't do the hammock, it was like, well, that's it.
Right. And why they said in an earlier episode, like, don't say what you're going to do, because then if you don't do it, you're done.
But they were making a big deal about the focal point.
Right.
But even the episode before that, where they said one person did not step out of their box, and I thought it was her because they had sort of said, well, this just looks like your stuff. Mm-hmm. But instead it was Floyd. I felt like both Rebecca and Floyd were surprised by that, and so was I, because I thought that had been their hint that it was going to be her. So I don't know why he got eliminated. But
well, and I also could have definitely done without hearing "step out of your comfort zone."
Oh my goodness,
75,000 times.
Yes,
of course.
Yes,
this
and
brief
I feel like
show.
that. Yeah, it was part of this packaging that they had decided this is not interesting enough in and of itself. We're going to make it into a 7-night event, and we're going to make it all aspirational.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't think so.
Yeah.
You don't. So it was a little bit disappointing in that way, but it was still extremely entertaining. And
it was still fun to watch, for sure.
I don't know if I would say the person I wanted from the beginning won, but of the final 4, I wanted Justine to win. So I was happy when she did. I liked her stuff the best. And I enjoyed her all the way through. She seemed like a real no-nonsense person.
Yes.
Got stuff done, and I appreciated that.
Yeah, I liked Jessie's a lot, too. She was the very, very artistic one who did with her shed. She made that, like, fake floor, and that was amazing.
That was very cool. I was a little surprised she didn't win, but I did also like Justine's very much, and it seemed much more functional. Jessie's was great, but if it rains, you're pretty much done.
Well, and I just thought throughout the competition, she was just
I agree.
Sophisticated, like more sophisticated and like urbane than everybody else. And if you saw some of her work that they showed, like a portrait of Serena Williams made out of tennis balls, that was amazing.
Yes, she's very interesting. She's cool. Following her on Instagram and looking at her stuff. Yeah. So one of the two of them, I would have been happy either way. But I missed all the rest of them. I really enjoyed the little, as corny as it was, the little bit of them all playing instruments at the end. Just to see them all again. Mm-hmm. But there was also a picture of Instagram that looked like everybody on a bus going to the final episode. So I guess maybe these were a week apart each episode and people went home.
I don't know. I feel like they kept them all somewhere and... in some holding pen.
Little house with Amy and Nick.
In the tiny house.
They never forgot about them.
Like, maybe they didn't film them every week. Maybe they filmed, like, 2 or 3 1-hour episodes in a week.
Maybe. Yeah. Yeah. It sure looked like an airport bus with everybody, including Rebecca, in it, but maybe not.
Right.
So, anyway, appreciate whatever we can get of you there making it. And... have more faith in yourself next time. Step outside of your box at a TV competition and go for your dreams of not having to eliminate people.
Exactly.
You can do it.
We believe in you. All right. Well, how about we take a hard left turn and go to the West Wing Requiem.
Yes.
This, of course, was the episode that gave us Leo's funeral, as well as like a bedroom farce between
Josh,
Donna, CJ,
that
and Danny.
was the thing. That was the thing I've been talking about, that I thought originally it was with the wedding where it would have been perfectly adorable and fine. Not at the wake.
Yeah.
What the H?
Yeah.
We do not need a sex farce in here with our, my goodness. That was just so bizarre. And they mentioned on the West Wing Weekly podcast that parts of this were written by all different people, so that I guess Deborah Kahn wrote the part that we're complaining about, which, I mean, was done tastefully, I guess, and would have been just fine in pretty much any other episode. But this one, no.
Right.
It was just awful. So that jarred you too.
Yeah.
Otherwise, without that, it was just a very sweet and emotional episode.
Yes.
And, fun seeing all the different faces of the people that they got to come, or that were able to come back. As they mentioned also on the podcast, pretty much anybody who was available and could make it came.
Yeah.
Although some of those close-ups, I think they could have just said, here, take your iPhone and just, put on a black hat and look sad, and we'll just splice you in. Yeah. But presumably they were all there.
Rob Lowe was not there, but he was in Europe at the time, according to... He came on the podcast to say that.
Okay. Yeah, I that was a jolting absence. However, I won't spoil anything. But anyway, yeah, but it was lots of like little, people in smut. Hey, there's Joey Lucas. Hey,
right.
There's Nancy McNally, who couldn't make it to into that episode a while ago, but at least we got to see her now with tears in her eyes. Yes. So that was very fun. That whole thing during the funeral where, they were like soft focusing and then focusing in on different people. Like the camera was a little paparazzi sneaking through and checking off the different people who were there.
The one thing, this is a weird thing to like notice or bump on, as they like to say, but, any funeral I have been to in the last like 20 years, the casket is on wheels. They do not expect someone who is 70 years old and has multiple sclerosis to pick up a casket and actually carry it.
Yeah, that was weird. Should he have been doing that? That did not seem like a good idea. At least they could have put him in the middle where there's like less. Should he have been at the front?
Right. Well, he is the president of the United States.
I guess, but still, yeah, like you said, he's like,
Yeah.
It seems unwise.
I don't know why that I had to, like, that just took me out of it. Like, it's a symbolic role at this point. You know, it's not something that people actually do. But
well, I will solve one mystery that they brought up in the podcast, unless I didn't listen to the whole podcast. Maybe they mentioned this, but at least according to something I saw online, perhaps there's a West Wing website. I'll give the link to it. That summarizes all the episodes. The mystery man carrying the pallbearers was Mallory's husband.
Oh, okay.
And I think we did see him sitting next to her earlier in one of the focuses going by.
Okay.
So that's, at least somebody thinks that's who that was. And I imagine you could figure it out.
Well, and maybe Leo has
actors.
He must have a brother or a cousin or some family member.
Yeah.
So that it could have been. So yeah, that's the other thing though. Catholic churches don't say amen. Catholic priests, as this one was he not?
Yes, I would think so.
I mean, I think for Leo, he would be Catholic.
Yeah.
Although maybe the National Cathedral is like Episcopalian or something. But anyway, so those two things like distracted me from the business at hand.
Yeah.
Which maybe I needed. I don't know.
Yeah. I was also amused that not only did Abby Bartlett have kind of an awful hat on, but so did Helen Santos. So apparently something to do with being a first lady.
First lady, this happens.
Requires you to show up at funerals in odd headwear.
Mm-hmm.
So I enjoyed enjoy is maybe not. It was very sweet, and I liked seeing it seems appropriate for the end of the series here to have scenes with people we haven't seen in a while.
Yeah.
To have Amy Gardner make one more pass through and Ainsley Hayes and all of that. So I enjoyed that. And if we could have just erased the sex comedy portion of our hour.
That can go another time, please.
Yeah, if they could have sped up the timeline on Josh and Donna getting together, they could have done it at the wedding. But they managed to get the three sisters back for the funeral.
They did.
They did I'm sure that the one who got married was saying, "Where were you guys? You come for this, but you couldn't show up for my wedding?"
It's the three of them sitting together, no husbands, kids.
I was thinking the same thing.
Like, Doug is still mad, so he stays home.
Apparently so. And, Zoe couldn't be sitting with Charlie. Come on.
Yeah, well, Charlie was a pallbearer, though, so.
That's true. He was. And he was cool with Toby, which I liked.
Yeah, that was a nice scene.
Yeah.
And as they point out on the podcast, he had the scene with Donna where he's like, "What do you mean he hasn't told you, hasn't given you a job yet?" He's like, "Do you want me to beat him up?" So that was a nice scene too.
Yes. Good stuff coming up for that.
And then the podcast was, they talked about the episode, and then they just had a lot of stories about John Spencer from, and I think most of them were things that we had heard before. I mean, they tried to say that they weren't, but I could swear I've heard them. At least some of them. There was one from Kristen Chenoweth that was new. But I don't know. I thought I heard some of them before.
Yeah.
And they have, because you haven't gotten to it yet, Richard Schiff reading what he wrote to be said at John Spencer's memorial, which he was unable to attend, but he had written this down. And so he reads it on the podcast, which is very, very moving.
Nice. Yeah. Well, I really liked that they did both a special episode for Leo of the TV show and a special episode for John Spencer of the podcast. That's, entirely appropriate. He was such a part of the show, not only of, the cast, but just of the spirit of it. There was just something special about him in this role. And so it was unfortunate the way, that he passed and the timing of that. But it would have been nice to see him as a elected vice president there at the end. Would have been sort of fitting for Leo. But this was, very classy of them to have worked this in both cases.
I agree. So next week we will not move on to the next West Wing, which is transition. We're going, since it's going to be Christmas week, we'll talk about favorite holiday entertainment, whether that be books, music, TV, movies, the whole shebang.
Right.
So that'll be it for our round 2 today. Please subscribe to our Parenting Roundabout podcast so you won't miss any of our episodes. We have something new for you every weekday. As always, you can find recaps, links, and an opportunity to comment on our website at parentingroundabout.com. Bye, Terry.
Bye, Catherine.
Bye, everyone.